mechanical pump serves in a wide range of applications, such as in the car industry for water cooling and fuel injection, in the energy industry for pumping oil and natural gas, as well as for our day-to-day water distribution system. Today is on the basic classification of the pump. So we want to know how the pump can supply water to our home. So join me at the Industrial Guidance video by Centre for E-Learning and Teaching Polytechnic Malaysia with Mr. Sri Dharan, Senior Manager from Syabas at Syabas Wangsa Maju Pump House. Hello Mr. Sri Dharan.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Okay, thank you very much for having us here at the pump house, Wangsa Maju Pump House. So maybe you can introduce yourself to our viewers.
My name is Sri Dharan Perumal. I'm under M&E department from HQ, Syabas HQ. Okay, our function is to overlook the operations of all the pump house in Selangor, KL and Putrajaya.
So can you briefly explain about the water pump and its basic function?
Okay, the basic function of pumps is to distribute water to all the consumers. But what we do is usually what we supply the pumps, we operate it using the motor, where we have the motor which has the power supply which runs the pumps, and these pumps will supply water to the reservoirs. From these reservoirs, the water will be supplied to all the consumers.
I see. So how many major components are there in pump system?
Okay, in pump system, the most major component is the impeller, because the impeller is the one which actually distributes or push out the water from the pumps. But other major things that we should consider also the bearings. We have the casing ring, impeller rings, and also the shaft sleeve and the shaft. These are the major components where we actually need to take care of these parts to ensure that pump operates in a good condition.
So what happens if one of the components broken or is not functioning well?
Okay, one of the components, for example, the most of the failures that we have in Syabas is on the bearing side. So usually what we'll know is when the bearing is failing, we know through there will be high vibration, and also we know the noise level of the bearing will be high. So that is considered a minor job where we need to replace the bearings only. So other major involves is like, for example, if there's a problem with impeller and everything, then we have to open up the casing of the pumps, then we have to send the pump to refurbish, to repair it and then put it back in operation.
Okay, so how many types of pump that are frequently used in the water supply distribution system?
In water supply, the number of pumps that we use, depending on the capacity or the amount of water that we want to push through the consumers. If it is a small flow rate we need, usually we use the end suction pumps. If it is a higher capacity, then we use a split casing, horizontal pumps to push the water to the customers. We also have other pumps, which is the multi-stage pump, where multi-stage pumps is you have a number of impellers in the pumps. So this creates a higher flow rate in the pump itself. And the other option that we have is the variable speed drive. Variable speed drive is considered a new technology, or I would say it's a sophisticated technology, where you can actually control the speed of the pump based on the demand that it needs by the consumers.
I see. So what are the basic aspects in pump usage? So does geographical factors or maybe a biological factors affect and in the decision making of any pump usage?
Okay, in the first thing when we look is we will look at the demand at the downstream side, that means demand to the consumers. The second is of course we have to look at the topography. We need to know where is the pump house situated and where we are actually pumping the waters. So if it's a higher ground, whereas the pump house is in a lower ground, then we need a pump with a higher head, so we can actually pump it to the higher levels.
Mr. Sri Dharan, tell us the mechanism or the process of water supply distribution.
If you look at Syabas, our function is mainly to distribute water to the consumers. We don't actually get involved in getting ready the raw waters. The raw water will come from the treatment plants. So once the water is processed, the plants will supply the water to our Syabas reservoirs. From these reservoirs, we either use gravitational force or a pumping force to actually supply these pumps to all these, we call it suction reservoirs. So each suction reservoirs will be accompanied with individual pump houses. So these pump houses, we will use these pumps in these pump houses to pump this water further to all the reservoirs. Reservoirs, we call it as distribution reservoirs, where from these reservoirs the consumers will get the water directly from these reservoirs. So that is the function of the pump houses.
Okay, so is there any standard requirement or specification that the pump at the house use? So that maybe if you are using another specification, maybe it's will affect the distribution system to your house? Is there anything like that?
In case we look at the pump, because as I said earlier, depending on the demand from downstream. So let's say we use lower capacity pumps, we will not be able to cater this water requirement by these consumers. So we have to actually look at the consumers or the requirements in downstream. So based on this, only the pump will be designed, or the pump house will be functioning or will be put into operations.
Okay, so Mr. Sridharan, so who is responsible to work and monitor closely on day-to-day operation of this pump house?
Okay, we have actually in Syabas, in the whole Selangor, KL and Putrajaya, we already split it into 10 districts. So we have around, currently we have around more than 450 pump houses.
Okay.
So each district is actually involved in taking care of their respective pump houses in their district. But on HQ part, on headquarters, we will overlook all the maintenance, including preventive maintenance and corrective maintenance, which is done by these districts. So in order to make sure that all the pumps are functioning properly, we have these certain staff of M&E in each district, where they will look at the overall operation of the pump house. If there's any problems or if help is required, then we in headquarters will help the district to ensure that the pumps are functioning properly.
Okay. In terms of the safety and health and safety procedure, are there any steps or codes that have to be implemented during this procedure?
In case for the water supply, we have to meet the requirement from these KKM, Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia, where they have these certain standards to ensure that water that we supply to these consumers are healthy and consumers can drink this water without having any problems. And on our part, on M&E part, we also has to make sure that the maintenance or the operation of the pumps are in good condition. So our people, when they are doing the operations, they have to make sure that their safety is also taken care. For example, they have to wear safety helmets, goggles, safety shoes whenever they are operating any equipment in pump houses.
So how frequent the services have to be done in one pump house?
It depends. Like for example, this Wangsa Maju pump house, we have 5 pump house, and this pump house we consider one of the major pump house in KL because it supplies water to more than 100,000 consumers. So in this case, the frequency of maintenance will be more in detail, where we have every day we have this visual monitoring, which is done by the operators, and also visual monitoring is done by the chargeman. So in every month we will conduct the electrical and also the mechanical maintenance work. Whereas for smaller pump houses, we still carry on this maintenance, but the frequency of the maintenance will be like a month or 2 months once we will do the maintenance work. So depending on the size and also the importance of the pump houses.
So in the case where there's a problem in water supply, what are the contribution or the assistance that the pump house can assist our community?
Okay, for example, if it is a small pump houses, we won't face much problem because we have this other alternative supply. But we are talking about Wangsa Maju pump house, where it supplies to more than 100,000 accounts. So the demand is very big. So other alternative pump houses will not be able to support large consumers. So our backup plan for Syabas is we have these tankers where we will actually supply these water supply to the consumers where they are having this problem whenever there's a major shutdown, a major problem in these pump houses. So we have our unit, we call it Puspel, where they will get all the calls from the consumers, where they have no water, low pressure. So based on these complaints, our people in districts will distribute this water to water tankers.
I see. Okay, for the students who's taking this course, majoring in this course, so what are the maybe the skills or knowledge that required, important skills and knowledge that required when they are joining this industry?
The students should be well versed in pumps or well versed in calculation of how to actually calculate the capacity of the pump, how to calculate the demand that required by the consumer, and based on that they should come out how to select these pumps and everything. That's on the mechanical part. On electrical side, it's a much more bigger scope, you see, because we have motors, we have panels, and also we have these transformers, and also we have vacuum circuit breaker and everything. So there's a wider scope of varieties which is involved for electrical engineers. So it will be a good ground for students to actually involve in all these scopes to ensure that whenever they join the workforce in Syabas or whichever company which distributes the water, it will be a good start for them with all these background information that they gather from the polytechnic or university to join the workforce in future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sridharan, for sharing information and good knowledge about the classification of the pump and also about the functions of the pump house. So I hope with this knowledge will motivate our students at Polytechnic Malaysia. Pumps are an important part of any water distribution system. People depend on water for drinking, washing, cooking and other domestic needs. Water supply system must meet requirements for public, commercial as well as industrial activities. In all cases, water supply system must fulfill both quality and quantity requirements. So, that's all for now from the Industrial Guidance video by Center for E-Learning and Teaching, Polytechnic Malaysia. Till we meet again, goodbye.